Good morning, everyone from Montenegro. Wow, I'm here for niece and nephew's wedding, and it's not the most beautiful day, to say the least. Thunder and lightning, but here we are. We came for a simcha, and Baruch Hashem, we are here for a simcha. So we will start with chapter of Tehillim for all of our brethren in Israel. There are so many soldiers that are on the front, and we must daven. Keep a Tehillim handy and just say it as often as you can, because this is becoming too long. Hi, good morning, everyone. Hi, Helga. Good morning. Boker Tov. Hope everyone's doing well in Toronto. Good morning. Say hello. Tell me where you're calling in from. I'm speaking to you now from Montenegro. Okay, Ingrid, you're in New York now. Hi, Kim. Good morning. Actually, for me, it's already afternoon. A dark afternoon here in Montenegro. Thunderstorms, lightning. We have a wedding tomorrow night. But wherever we are, we still keep learning. We don't stop. And we still keep davening, because it is so crucial that our prayers be heard. For all those beautiful young soldiers, Hashem, please hear our prayers. For all the hostages, we hope you're still okay and you're staying strong. Hope is coming to the end. And now we are waiting for our Hashem just to kick in. So put tzedakah in and let's say together. Lamnatseach mizmor leDavid. Yancha Adonai biyom tzara. Yisagefcha Shem Elohei Yaakov. Yishlach Ezracha Mikodesh Umitzion Yisadeka. Yiskar Kol Mechosecha Valascha Yidash Nesela. Yiten Lecha Chavavecha Vechol Atzascha Yimale. Nuraneb Shuasecha V'Shem Eloheinu Nidgol. Yimale Adonai Kol Mashalasecha. Ati Adati Ki Yoshi Adonai Mishicho. Yaneu Mishmei Kotreg B'Gvuras Yesha Yemina. Ela V'Recha V'Ela V'Asusim V'Anachnu B'Shem Adonai Eloheinu Naskir. Hema Karu V'Nafalu V'Anachnu Kamnu V'Nisodad. Adonai Hoshea HaMelech Anenu B'Yom Karenu. All right. Just wondering, are you able to see me okay? Are you able to hear me okay? I am speaking now from Montenegro, so it is a distance away from Toronto, but I think I do have good communication. I can't even show you the beautiful mountains here because it's all covered by rain. Look, check this out. I hope by the time the wedding comes, it will be... I hope by the time the wedding comes, it will already have been cleared up, because we're having an outdoor chuppah. My nephew and niece. Okay, good morning, Evelyn. Good morning, Tammy. Good morning, Helga. Let's say Tehillim for Devora Bas Rezela, Esther Bas Leah, Rachel Bas Vega. Good morning, Kim. We should only hear good news. Please say Tehillim if you're just joining us. Please say as much as Tehillim as you can. Today we're going to tackle a big question. I'm going to throw out the question, and I want you to answer me, okay? The question is like this. Now that we already almost 6 weeks, more than 6 weeks into this war, okay? Good morning, Lynn. Good morning, Beth. The question I'm asking you is like this. And give me a thumbs up if you like this question or you think about this question, okay? When we suffer, do we seek cause and try to make an understanding of why we're suffering? Okay, number one. Hi, David from Connecticut. Good morning. Number two, do we struggle from faith because of what's happening, and is that a form of a lack of belief? Okay? Do you feel like if you're asking why, is it because you're lacking in belief? Okay, that's the second question I'm posing. And the third question I have is, when we suffer, do we feel a loneliness? Do we feel like God has deserted us? Good morning, Rosalie. Good morning, Lisa. So those are my questions. And based on the answers that I'm going to see maybe if you put in the comments, I want to address this class today. And the biggest question I have, and that all of us have, is how could God let this happen? God, Hashem, Bereshis Bara Elos Hakim, Es HaShamayim ve'es ha'aretz. God created the world. God created heaven and earth. We say, and we've said this so many times during our class, God is here. God is watching. How could God allow this? So many people are struggling with faith now. So many people are struggling. How could we allow? How could we worship a God? The God that allows this? How could I worship this Hashem? I want to thank Fruma Shapiro, a shluch in Australia, that gave a beautiful class. And I'm going to take some bits and points from her class. A lot of it's taken from the Torah. We're going to bring our sources very soon, because you and I are in good company. We're not the only ones that are debating and wallowing and challenged, crying out to Hashem in tears, how could you let this happen? But we're not the only ones. We've been here before. Because don't we believe that Hashem is good? Right? We always say before Yom Kippur, Hashem, Hashem, kel racham v'chanun, erech apayim rav chesed. I mean, that's the song that is echoed and sang throughout Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Ad Hashem, kel racham v'chanun, erech apayim v'rav chesed v'emes. Right? When we sing that song, Hashem, you are the kel racham v'chanun. You see what's going on? You're allowing this to happen? Is this your question? Is this only mine? Give me a thumbs up if you're feeling the same pain and you're asking the same question. Because an atheist can't ask that question. Atheists have no questions to ask. Because if you're an atheist, which I know none of you are, but if you're an atheist, the world is random. The world isn't good or bad. It is random. There's no God. There's no purpose. There's no meaning. It's just randomness running the roost. So someone who's an atheist, click off and say goodbye. They have nothing to talk to us about. So this conversation that we're having now is for a believer. It's only for you. Because you are a believer. You are maminim b'nei maminim. So that's why we are asking the question. But some of us are feeling guilty. Am I allowed to ask the question? If I believe in God, am I allowed to ask God how you could allow this? So give me in the comments any great leaders that we've had in the past that asked this question. Do you know anyone? Does this sound familiar? God, how could you do this? Does that sound familiar to you? Has it been asked before? And by who? And if you feel we are allowed to ask the question, do you feel guilty? Sitting around with friends and we're asking this question, do we ever feel guilty? Now, 6 weeks, the hostages are suffering in Gaza for 6 weeks, and we cry out to Hashem a whole day. By the way, I would highly recommend any spare time, open this Tehillim. And if you know any prayers by heart, just say it throughout the day. As you're walking, as you're sitting in the car, as it's a red light and you're waiting for it to turn green, just say Tehillim. Just say any chapter that you know, any prayer that you know. You know Shema? Say it as many times as you can. Let's storm the heavens. And like Dorit said, Dorit said something very good, which I just lost a second ago. How could you doubt God? It's like the child who's getting the needle, right? The child is questioning the mother. How are you allowing that doctor to poke a needle into my arm when you know it's painful? Why is a child asking that question? Because the child knows that mom loves her, that mom has only her benefit in mind, and mom will never leave. That's the same condition that you and I have now about Hashem. Hashem loves me. Hashem is watching me all the time. He's never going to leave me alone even for 1 second. I heard a beautiful analogy. When a child gets tucked into bed at night and suddenly there's a bad dream. Child just has to put out the arm and there's mommy right there next to the bed. So right now we are in this space where we're asking Hashem, how could this happen? But my friends, we are in good company. Think about Abraham. Right? Abraham. What did Abraham ask Hashem when God came to give him the news through the malach, through his messenger, that he was going to destroy the Sodom? Now, we all know Sodom and Gomorrah. Not a place of righteousness. And yet, Abraham in full storm came out screaming to God, how could you, in your good consciousness, destroy a whole city? And Hashem said, they're evil. Abraham said, but there aren't even 50 tzaddikim? God said, not even 40 tzaddikim? 40 righteous? No. 30? Abraham wasn't giving up. Listen, he said 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. God, there isn't even 10 people in this city that can save the destruction? And God said no. So Avram came out with rationalization. And God said, we have to get rid of the city. Then we have Moshe. Moses. He was walking with his sheep one day when he saw a burning bush. And I heard something so beautiful. The bush was burning. Einenu achal. It was never consumed. Moshe got a very powerful message. That's right, Sarah. We can't answer without the perspective of time. We also can't answer because we're not God. We don't see the entire universe from the beginning of creation till now. But we already see answers. Beautiful. When Moshe saw the burning bush, God said to him, take off your shoes. You are standing on holy ground. At that point, Moshe saw an answer. You know, Sarah, this is the answer. Sorry. God was showing Moshe that there might be a burning bush. It will never, ever, ever be consumed. Because when we sing Am Yisrael Chai, it's not just a popular song, and it's not just a adorable, catchy tune. It is the real emes of who we are. We might be suffering, my friends, but we will never be consumed. We will never, ever be gone. For some reason, this is being allowed, and we don't have the answers ourselves. Because God is not allowing us to see the answer. Do you know that Moshe was offered to see God's face, to see the reason for pain, to see why the Jews were suffering after 210 years, when there were so many babies that were thrown into the Nile, when the men were being beaten and so much death. And God said to his Moshe, I will allow you to see the reason. And do you know what Moshe said? Anybody know what Moshe said? Put it down in the comments. What did Moshe say? Moshe said, I don't want to see. I don't want to see the reasons. Why? Why Moshe was about to be able to see the reason for hostages, the reason for the torturing of all those 1,400 Jews who perished. The reason why our IDF is sending in the reserves, fathers, young men, brothers, sons. Moshe didn't want to see. Anybody know why? Shelley, do you want to know why? I'll give you the answer. Moshe said, I want to be able to cry out in pain. And if I know the answer, I will not cry for my fellow brethren. So we don't want to know the answer. But what we have to know is this. Hashem is with us in our tzara. David HaMelech, the author of this magnificent book, Tehillim, which is giving us comfort and giving us an opportunity to cry out to God. This David Melech says, I am suffering so much, but Hashem, you're with me. Chapter 23, Mizmor LeDavid, Hashem roi le'echsa, bina stesha yabitzeni, al memenuchas yinahaledi, nafshi yishov yanchedi v'madig tzedek l'man shemo, gam ki elach begeitz ha'mavis le'ira rak hi ta'amidi. Hashem, no matter where I walk in the shadow of death, you are with me. I think that's right now where we are. We don't know why. We know that our faith is not shaken. You know, after the 1973 war, Rabbi Lau, the chief rabbi of Israel, went to visit the Rebbe. And the Rebbe asked him, how are the Jews feeling now in Israel? What's the mood? What's the matzav? And Rabbi Lau, with tremendous sadness, said, right now, everyone's asking, Ma yiyeh? What's going to be? The Rebbe took Rabbi Lau by the arm, and he said to him, a Jew never asks, Ma yiyeh? A Jew doesn't ask, what will be? What will be? A Jew says, what should we do? What should we do? And that's my question to all of you now. I want you to put down in your comments, what are you doing for Israel? What are you? Hi, Karen. Good morning. Hi, Noreen. What are you doing for Israel? Not ma yiyeh. Woe us. Anti-Semitism on every campus. We're fighting it. We're signing petitions. We're sending in letters. We're making the phone calls. We're davening. But we don't say what's going to be. Our people have been around the block enough times to know that we're here like the burning bush, eternal. We're not going anywhere. But the question now is, what should we do? So Dorit says, lots of prayers, donations. Good. What else can we do? Put down in the comments, what are things you are doing? What are you doing for your brethren, for the soldiers in Israel, for the students on campus, for the people that are owning stores that are Jewish? Letter writing. Excellent, Lisa. Give us some ideas of what kind of letters you're writing. Because I want everyone to share what are the things we can do. I know that December 4th, they are planning a march in Ottawa, signing petitions. That's right. People went to the White House supporting Jewish establishments. That's excellent, Lisa. Specifically, go to restaurants that are owned by Jews. Buy food, buy things that are owned by Jews. Yes, absolutely. Praying, giving donations. Very good. Gail, what are the things to the government about what they aren't doing? That's right. What are other things we can do? Davening, Tehillim, Tzedakah, signing petitions, going to rallies, giving out Shabbos candles, making sure all the neighbors in your street are lighting Shabbos candles. You know that, and I think I mentioned this last week, the first rally that I went to give out Shabbos candles, we were able to give out 1,000 because so many women were not lighting candles. The last Sunday that I went to the Christie Pit, 80% of the women that I stopped were lighting candles. Dorit, I like that. Shabbos candles for those who can't light anymore. Inviting guests into your home because of the empty seats. Adding mitzvahs, praying, being with our brothers by heart and actions in all possible way. Everything we can do is for Israel. It's like everything is for Israel. Every bracha I make, it's for Israel. Every charity I give, it's for Israel. Every mezuzah I kiss, it's for Israel. Every Shabbos candle I give out, it's for Israel. Listening to shiurim, lighting Shabbos candles. When you light Shabbos candles, think about the soldiers and say their names. Keep a list of the hostages at your Shabbos table and say their names. So we had David HaMelech, who cried out and said to Hashem, why is this happening? But I know I won't get an answer. I am going to daven more, and I'm going to recite the Tehillim. Because we know Hashem is sitting at our side. We know that Hashem has us in mind. And we know that Hashem will always be there to help us. You know, I remember very clearly, I was at Rebbetzin as a teenager. And there were a few rabbis that had spoken up in Israel about why the Holocaust happened. Imagine. The reason they gave was because the Jews weren't righteous. The Rebbe addressed that comment at the Rebbetzin and started to cry. Now, imagine me, a teenager, sitting and watching the tzaddik of the generation, someone who I looked up to in every way, crying. Crying because some rabbis were giving excuses why God sent us the Holocaust. And the Rebbe was emphatic and said, never! We are never allowed to give reasons. And today, too, we are not allowed to say, there are people that are saying it happened because there wasn't unity. It's happening because the Jews were not religious. Chas v'shalom. Every Jew in Israel is a Kodesh. Every Jew in Israel is holy. What we do have to do is say, what can we do that this shouldn't happen again? That means if there wasn't Achdus, we have to create Achdus. Today, my friends, more than ever, the Jews are getting along. It has to stay. The unity must stay. The unity must stay. Chiloni and Charedi, those words have to go down the drain. I don't want anyone ever to say, I'm a Chiloni. I am a Charedi. She's a Charedi. He's a Chiloni. Guys, Hamas doesn't care about our religiosity. Hamas cared us because we are Jewish. We got to cut out the labels. Cut it out. We are a Jew, and one of the things that I must express so that it really, really resonated with me. When God said to Moses, I want you to go to Egypt and let the Jews go, Moses said, who am I that going to believe me? Like, who should I say sent me? Hashem says this. Tell them, Ehye Asher Eryeh. Now, Ehye Asher Eryeh is actually one of God's names that's never used, but it's used here. God is saying, tell the children of Israel, I will be who I will be. I will be with them. Always. Tell the children of Israel, I will always be with them. Ehye Asher Eryeh. This is the sign. This is the sign that you tell the children of Israel. I'm in their pain, and they will be redeemed very shortly. Ehye Asher Eryeh. Rabbi Mengel taught me when I was in Beis Rivka High School. He was one of the youngest Auschwitz survivors. And he tells the story that he was walking the death march in the winter, freezing, snow, and you know what the Jews were wearing. They weren't wearing much. He had worn out his shoes that, I'm sorry to be so graphic, but there were holes in his feet, not holes in his shoes. There were holes in his feet, going all the way up to his bones. And at one point, as he was walking, he decided that he's going to sit at the side so he'll be shot and it'll be the end of his pain. And as he's about to walk out of the line of the death march, he remembers a conversation that he had with his father years earlier around the Shabbos table. And his father said to him, "My son, remember," and I want you also to remember these words, "A Jew is never alone. A Jew is never alone. No matter where you are, my friends, sitting on an airplane going to Montenegro, sitting on a train going downtown to work, sitting at a university in Michigan, standing with your hostage soldiers, hostage pictures. A Jew is never alone." Rabbi Mangel suddenly remembered that God is with me. He made it to the end of the death march. He eventually moved to New York, where he was my teacher, a father of about 9 children. And 3 weeks ago, there was a picture of his family, all of his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, standing in front of Auschwitz. There must have been 100 of them standing in front of Auschwitz. You know that famous entrance, Achtung, Mach, Befreiung, right? He came back to show the German Nazis the Mach Shemov Zachra. He showed them. He's still here with children, grandchildren. Some of them are shluchim. Some of them are soldiers. All of them are following the Torah. My friends, Rabbi Mangel taught us a very amazing thing. A Jew is never alone. And like a child who's getting the shot in the doctor's office, you're allowed to cry out to Hashem. You're allowed to. And cry out a lot. And scream out these words, Ad Masai. Till when? How much more? How much more of this galus, Hashem? It's got to end. And it is going to end because we are still here. And we can do action. We can do mitzvahs non-stop all day. We are so fortunate that we are living now, especially those of us who are living in Chutz La'aretz where we are not being threatened. I just walked into the hotel because all the guests are coming for the wedding. And my nephew is from Israel, my brother's from Israel, so most of the guests are coming from Israel. My aunt lives in Tel Aviv, there's shluchim there, and she tells me that she slept last night for the first time in 6 weeks without being woken up to go into a shelter. I think we all have to realize that Hashem is the emes, but he has to stop this. We know Hashem has a reason. We know that we're this small in comparison to God's wisdom, God's knowledge. We don't know Hashem. We know that we will never see the reason right now in Gullus, but we are asking Hashem, please, give us more resilience. Send us more spiritual arms. We will overcome. We will overcome because we have the vital strength. We have the wherewith, the knowledge that Hashem has got our back. We know that, like Hashem says, Im b'chukosai tilechu, with our mitzvahs, we will bring Mashiach. We know this. And just like when you sit on a boat, you do not have the right to make a hole in your section, because whatever you do has ramifications to the rest of the Jewish world. Every mitzvah we do has ramifications. So if you never daven shacharit, start today. If you never said Tehillim, start today. If you haven't checked your mezuzahs, do it today. If you say Tehillim for 20 minutes a day, say it for an hour. And I'm talking right now to myself. It is so difficult to put ourselves in the shoes. I think the sufferers want us just to give them strength. And every chapter Tehillim, Arlene, is giving those people in Israel strength. Am Yisrael Chai. Love you all.